Hi and welcome to the State of Play video for the Field Service app in Dynamics 365 in Wave 1 2025. Now we are getting to the point where it's nearly Wave 2 and I do have the preview active in this environment, but this is still Wave 1 time. So taking a look at Field Service, I think Field Service is an incredibly powerful app. And one of the most interesting things about it is if you're looking for an app where you can do case management, sales, and scheduling your work order team, you would think that maybe you would need all of the apps in Dynamics. But let's be very quickly focused on the idea that there is case management in here. And as you can see, we can go in, we can set up cases, and this is the standard Dynamics case form. But we also have a sales area where we can manage leads, opportunities, quotes, orders, and invoices, and tracking actuals. And that's a really important part of our team going out in the field and doing the job, is we'll often run on estimates, and as they're doing the work, we are capturing the details of what the actuals are. So let's come in here and take a quick look at some of the things we've got going. So very quickly, we've got a work order. A work order is in Field Service, sort of a unique entity. This is where we capture what the job is, what priority it is, who we're going to schedule against it, what the requirements of work are. We can also come in here and add a work order type that can pre-populate the incident type. And if we've gone into the level of detail where we want to, the incident types can have, if a product is required, if certain service tasks are required as part of that job, it can actually populate that information all from just clicking that work order type, meaning that it can deliver us an estimate of time, an estimate of cost. So when we're going to schedule that job, we have all of those details here, and they would show up in here if they were pre-populated. And you'll see we've got a little area here where it can manage all the time and cost estimates. So it is a very powerful system driving those things. Who's got to be where? When have they got to be there? And what are they doing when they're there? Once they are there, what have they done? Did they need any additional time, effort, or products? And bringing that back. So how do we centralize all that? Well, we can go in and set up the resources. The resources in the system are quite often thought of as the individuals, but they can also be things that include vehicles, locations. So for example, say you're an organization that is managing a university, and what you want to do is you want to schedule a theatre. You want to make sure that the equipment that's in that theatre for your students to go in is allocated to the right place at the right time, and the right people are going to be there. That is the kind of thing you could do with this system. And as you're doing that, we can also track things like, you'll see here, time off request and time entries. And those are really important parts of the system. As we scroll down a little bit further, I will just dig into agreements. Agreements works really well with cases and scheduling jobs. So when you set up an agreement can be, like you see here, a 3-year biannual preventative maintenance review. And what that does is it sets up, you've sold your agreement. It's over a 3-year period. What you want to do is be out on site twice a year. And you set up all those criteria in here. You know how many times you're going out. You know when your resources should be approximately going out to the job. And when you've set up that agreement, you can also set up a window to say, we want the system to look at the resources available that have the relevant skills to do the job a week and a half before that job is due. Meaning you don't just auto-assign it to resources that in 3 years' time will no longer be with your team. You, within a window of closeness to when the work is required, it can allocate it to those team members. And if it doesn't, you can set it up so that it'll show you, for example, you don't have the people with the right skills available. So those agreements will then go and populate work orders here. So how do we schedule a work order? Well, we've got one here that's unscheduled, so let's click here and you'll see we've got the option to book up here. So this is the quick book functionality. This is if you're doing it a job at a time, and you basically want to see that information there. So you'll see if I come in on Friday, we've got our window here where only one resource is available. At 9:30 we've got two, so you can click on that and see who the two members of the team are. You can also jump out here, and as you scroll down you'll see other points. We've got 3 and we've got 7. We want to book Spencer because we know that not only do we want to book him, but he is the one that the client likes the most. So we're going to just click on this and go to book the resource. So when we book that, you'll see it comes up and tells us we've successfully booked and shows us the resource at that time. So that's really good. Like as I said, that's if you want to do it in a scenario where it is just one at a time. But where field service becomes really powerful is the scheduling board. So you can see here we've got quite a few things that can happen when we're looking at the scheduling board. We've got the visibility of the jobs against the members of the team, and we also can see what hours they've been booked against. We can set up criteria to show whether people are overbooked. In here we have the capacity on a job to put in travel time, so you'll see we've got that window there where that travel time is required because we know where that resource is going from and how it's going to get to the job. In these jobs, you'll see we also have a criteria, so the yellow here, the red here, where we can see certain indicators against the jobs. And if I click the right part here, here we go, the legend. So we can see in here the legend of what's going on with it work. So this is normal work, we've got urgent work, there's emergency work. We can come in and do quite a lot of different things in this environment. So you'll see we've got this set up, and what we've actually got is a problem because we know Jeremy is off sick today. So what we want to do is rebook his work, and we can say we want to book a substitute team member in there for the job. If we've got those skills available, we can do that. So this scheduling board gives us a lot of visibility around how we can work with jobs. We also have different viewing capacities, so we can view hourly. We can fill daily, weekly, monthly. We've also got the possibility to drag out across certain days, so we can click and see in here. And there's quite a lot of extra capabilities where we can say we want to move all of the bookings of a certain status from this date to that date. So in here, the scheduling board is a really powerful tool. If we go back to our original view we had here, there's a couple of really good things we can do. So we can see Spencer isn't heavily worked, maybe somebody's off sick. We can just drag and drop. So we can see that we've got some unscheduled work here, and we can see that Spencer's got availability. So we can just drag and drop that work into Spencer's calendar. And what that will do is send that job request to Spencer. We can set it up so that Spencer can see that, get an alert, accept or reject that job, or we can just send it to him and that's the job he's got. And when we come here, we can also come in and see, as we're looking for work, we can come in and see what skill sets particular team members have. So you'll see here, David has 3D printer repair and circuit board expert. It also shows his role as a technician. On this side over here, we have the map, so we can see currently where David is located, and we can go and have a look at details that include when he's in working hours, where he is tracking, and we can use that information to alert our clients to let him know that he's on the way, he's running late, any of those details that are required. So, how do we manage our work? If the work is something like assets, you'll see we can actually set up the locations of those assets. We can capture the names of them. So we've got all the details of the components that we're going out to service. We can have a functional location, which is where they are actually in the building. And we can also have IoT devices. So smart devices that have details in them. If we come in and have a look in here, we can see that we can set up information such as if there are any alerts coming from the system, if we've captured any readings. We can see if we've got any alerts coming from the system, if we've got any history of what's happened with it, or alerts. And those alerts can then be used to trigger a work order for somebody to go out and do some work on that equipment. So that can be quite powerful if you've got any IoT out there. When we're looking in here, we also have some extra capability around inventory. If we want to, we can set up warehouses, and we can also set up warehouses such as vehicles. So you can track when you're moving any of your product from a particular warehouse to a vehicle. When you do that, you can also track that you've used it from that vehicle to a job on site. And once you've done that, you can then track that has been added to that location. So you get that chain of custody all the way across, going from the warehouse to the client location where it was used or where it's installed. We can also do adjustments, returns, and out in the field, your team, if they're given access, can do purchase orders and send that back for payment. Resources, as I mentioned earlier, can be the individual. So you see we've got a resource type contact set up here. We can also have a crew, so a crew can contain multiple members of the team. But we also have the option to do generic equipment, facility. So there's quite a lot of flexibility around how you can set up your resources and how you can schedule them. And then you can drill right down to particular details. So irrespective of whether it's a person or a component, you know what those components can handle and have been certified for. And we have additional information in here about being able to set up pay types so that when you guys are out in the field, they're capturing their hours and they're submitting them. It can know whether it's work inside normal standard work hours or holiday pay or after hours work. So we've got all of that flexibility in there to be able to do that. There are some other options where we can start to turn on some Copilot functionality, and we'll show some of that in a minute. But we can book jobs through Microsoft Outlook, so it can come into your inbox and you can do all the booking in there without coming into Dynamics at all, which is quite powerful. We can also have a portal where our clients can do self-service bookings. So that's incredibly useful as well. And you'll see there's a lot of settings in the back here.